Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about the best introductory commentary on Hebrews, the best mid-level commentary on Hebrews, and the best technical commentary on Hebrews, all based on aggregate academic reviews. Before I do that, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Clicking the thumbs up button helps me a lot on YouTube, and feel free to leave a comment below. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you for supporting my channel and my website. I am just having a great time creating content for my website and talking about commentaries and other study material on my YouTube channel, and I just love the interaction and the community that's growing, and I just really appreciate the support when people use my website to purchase their books. It's just very helpful to me, and I'm having a great time, and I thank you for coming along for the ride. It's been really fun for me. So I'm going to talk about three different kinds of Hebrews commentaries, the best in each of three different categories. These aren't necessarily the top three Hebrews commentaries. They're the top three commentaries based on academic aggregate reviews in three different categories: introduction, mid-level, and technical. Now, if those terms aren't familiar to you and you haven't heard me talk about them before, I'm going to put a link to an article I wrote on my site down below in the description box that's titled, I can't remember what it's titled, but it covers the different types of commentaries. So what's the difference between introductory, mid-level, and technical? Give examples of each one. I refer you to that article for more information. Also, I'll put a link down below to a best Hebrews commentaries page, so you can see the top 10 Hebrews commentaries and where each of these volumes falls on that list. So again, I'm not necessarily doing the top three commentaries on Hebrews. I'm talking about the best reviewed Hebrews commentaries in three different categories. So the first one is the best introductory commentary on the book of Hebrews based on academic reviews is by R. Kent Hughes, and it's in the Preaching the Word commentary series. The commentary was originally published in 1993. It's over 500 pages in length. Now, the first edition of this commentary series, there were several books several volumes that were in several commentaries that had 2 volumes for each book. So originally, under the other branding, the previous branding, this Hebrews commentary was in 2 volumes, and now it's just in this one volume. And like I said, it's about 500 pages, 550 pages, something like that. This is an expositional commentary, meaning that it is based on a sermon series R. Kent Hughes preached on the book of Hebrews. It is a prerequisite in this series that every author who's writing on a particular book of the Bible, that they have preached through that book in an expository fashion. And so the commentary, it will read, in most sections, it will read like you're reading a sermon. It will feel like you're reading a sermon because they're all based on sermons. So for pastors, it's helpful to see how authors organize the material for a particular book, the illustrations that they used. And for lay people, it's helpful because there's, like in most sermons, there's a blend of explaining the text and applying the text to everyday life. Now, an academic review from this volume from Bibliotheca Sacra, which is the journal from Dallas Theological Seminary. The reviewer says that this volume will doubtless prove useful to many pastors who want to preach through Hebrews, as well as other serious Christians who simply want to understand this great epistle better. The reviewer notes that at Hebrews chapter 6, R. Kent Hughes believes that the writer of Hebrews is addressing professing Christians who aren't true believers. Now, if you know anything about that discussion of Hebrews chapter 6, it's a very debated passage. So R. Kent Hughes' understanding is that the writer is addressing professing Christians, people who say they're Christians, but they aren't in reality, they're not. They're not true believers. The other thing the reviewer said about this volume is that he thought that R. Kent Hughes was not consistent with the Reformed understanding of perseverance throughout the commentary. That's not necessarily a statement on pro or con with regard to Reformed theology. he thought that there were some statements that R. Kent Hughes made that didn't reflect Reformed theology consistent with its historical convictions. So I am going to offer an alternative or kind of a runner-up to this category of introductory commentary on Hebrews because R. Kent Hughes does discuss some biblical scholarship in this volume, which is not typical in introductory commentaries. So I'd still say it's introductory, but leaning toward the mid-level end of the spectrum. And it's over 500 pages, so that might be a little bit beyond quote-unquote introductory that some people are looking for. So I wanted to provide an alternative for the introductory section. In that case, it would be the Hebrews volume in the revised Expositor's Bible Commentary series. Now, this volume 13 it covers Hebrews through Revelation. So what is that, like 7 or 8 books of the Bible, right? And not every book gets equal amount of treatment. So I remember from reading through this before that Revelation gets about 200 pages of treatment. This is about an 800-page commentary, double column. Revelation gets about 200 pages of treatment. And so for 2nd and 3rd John, for example, they're not going to get nearly that length of treatment. The book of Hebrews in this volume gets about 175 pages of treatment. It's introductory, so the author does not assume that the reader has prior information on biblical scholarship or the introductory or the original languages. So in that case, because of the length and the content, I would consider it introductory. I do consider the series as a whole to be mid-level, so you'll see that on my website and in other videos. But just regarding the book of Hebrews itself, the coverage Hebrews gets, I would call it more introductory. There is an introduction is single column, but the commentary itself is double column. And also the scripture itself is printed in the commentary. Now, some people prefer that, and that's fine. The only point I would make about it is that it's 175 pages in length, and the entire book of Hebrews is reprinted in the text, so that's going to take up space. Nevertheless, the author, it's a very well-reviewed commentary still. The author of the revised version is R.T. France, and he is one of the most well-reviewed commentators in recent decades. And so it's not to say anything negative about the commentary, just to call it introductory. It just means that someone doesn't have to have prior knowledge or prior experience using biblical studies materials in order to utilize it. So I would kind of call this the runner-up in the introductory section. All right, mid-level. William Lane in the WBC series has the best reviewed commentary on Hebrews according to aggregate academic reviews. This volume was published in 1991. In total, it is 618 pages in length. Unlike the Preaching the Word series, you need both volumes. There's not a one-volume addition to this commentary. A representative academic review from the Westminster Theological Journal. The reviewer says, "I must say at the outset that this work is awesome in its breadth of research, its clarity in sorting through the myriad of options, and its pointedness and focus." He says, Lane is masterful at going to the heart of problems. The reviewer disagrees with Lane on Lane's understanding of Hebrews chapter 6, that the recipients experienced apostasy, that they were genuine believers and they left their faith. They committed apostasy. So that's Lane's understanding. He builds off some of the Greek in Hebrews 6:6 to come to that conclusion. The reviewer says that Lane's prose, for the most part, is easy to read. Now, sometimes some of the criticism of this series is the layout is a little bit tricky to kind of get used to and to find what you're looking for. Or sometimes what you're looking for exists in 3 different sections. A particular passage, if you've used the WBC series, you know what I'm talking about. So it's helpful that Lane's prose is accessible, but it's definitely not introductory. I would not want to mislead someone to say it's introductory. Maybe this isn't the first commentary you ever use on Hebrews, maybe an introductory one, or at least use this in conjunction with an introductory commentary on Hebrews might be wise. So in the conclusion, the reviewer says, again, this is from Westminster Theological Journal. He says, this commentary is one of the most significant works on Hebrews available and should be one of the first tools to turn to when working with this epistle. So in my opinion, based on what I have read about this commentary over the years in academic reviews, is I would go so far as to say, so let's say someone's not putting together a top 10 list on the commentaries on Hebrews. Let's just say top 10 most well-reviewed commentaries on any book of the New Testament. I would think, I haven't done that before, but I'm just thinking about it. If I would think that this commentary would go in the top 10 or top 15. That's how well-reviewed it is. So I gave you, now that I think about it, I gave you a runner-up to the introductory commentary on Hebrews. So I'll give you a runner-up. I don't have it to show you, but I'll give you a runner-up for the mid-level, and that would be F.F. Bruce's commentary in the New International Commentary on the New Testament series, the NICNT series. Okay. The top technical commentary on the book of Hebrews, based on academic aggregate reviews, is a pretty large book. It is by Harold Attridge, and it's in the Hermenia series. That's what this says right here. It's a little bit hard to read that, isn't it? That says Hermenia right there. These are large books. Let me just show you a comparison. See how much more space that is, and it is full of content. I'll show you. I'll show you. Flip through some pages in a minute, but so it's a large book. You get a lot of information, and the Hermenia series, if you buy them new, are some of the more expensive commentary series out there. Off the top of my head, my guess would be new. This would be about a $75 commentary. Let me show you the inside. So this is a very technical commentary. Those who are proficient in New Testament Greek will be the ones to maximize this commentary. Even if you have some familiarity with Greek, you're not going to you probably won't get close to maximizing this commentary. It just depends on the person. Would you get 50% of the content, 60%? I'm not sure. It depends on a person's proficiency in Greek. But would I think someone who's gone through first year Greek in seminary be able to maximize this commentary? I would think probably not. They're going to get more out of it than a layperson, but this is a very technical commentary and very well reviewed though. And should a layperson try it? I would suggest probably not. Before you spend the money, I would at least look at previews online to get an idea of the content, because the last thing you want to do is spend $75 and then not be able to utilize hardly anything in the commentary. So nevertheless, for those who are interested in a technical commentary on Hebrews, this is the best reviewed volume. The review, so this is published in 1989. It's 437 pages in length. Attridge was at Notre Dame, and I think he was at Yale. I think he was at Yale for a time as well. Anyway, you can just look him up more online if you're interested in him. So this review from the Journal of Theological Studies says, this commentary is comprehensive, well-written, exhibits balanced and careful nuanced judgments throughout, and is genuinely enhanced by 14 excursuses. Excursuses are essays they're usually on a particular theme that is related to the passage that the commentator is writing about. Let's see, a couple of examples of excursuses. The image of entry into rest. There's another excursus on Melchizedek, another excursus on the heavenly temple and its significance. So you can kind of see that, understand that, as there are, how many did he say? 14 different excursuses throughout. So there's 14 articles within the commentary that deal with thematic issues and sometimes theological issues in the commentary, although this is not a theological commentary. The reviewer continues, its philological and literary rigor is matched by a sensitivity to theological issues. So there is sensitivity to theological issues, but theology is not Attridge's primary concern. So that's why I say it's not a theological commentary. The reviewer says, this volume will not be easily surpassed. It belongs in the library of every serious student of the New Testament. I will also mention, I get a lot of questions on D.A. Carson on my channel. He's just a very popular commentator. Carson loves this volume. In his words, it is quote unquote masterful. This is a masterful commentary on the book of Hebrews. So I didn't really intend to do this, but since I gave runner-ups for the other categories, I would say that the runner-up based on academic reviews would be Paul Ellingworth, his volume on Hebrews in the NIGTC series, New International Greek Testament Commentary series, is a runner-up. And actually, if you, for some people, the Ellingworth volume might be more accessible, might be more readable than this one. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful to you. Appreciate you watching. Feel free to leave comments down below.